Please watch the video until the end to experience the full crescendo of the tale. Chapter 1, The Quiet Waste. My name is Mara Holloway, and for 27 years I cataloged other people's lives into neat, bound editions. I managed an imprint that specialized in the dignified, the waning, books that smelled of dust and responsibility. I loved language the way other people loved a child, painstaking, fierce, and forgiving. I was approaching 50 with the pride of a woman who had not bent to the easiest path. Then the first wrong thing happened. I began to feel invisible in rooms that used to answer when I spoke. The office was a glass throat on the edge of the river. Paper drowned there, a current of memos and author indignation. A takeover had come like a winter fog, friendly faces rearranged into unfamiliar shapes. Younger men smiled with teeth where teeth shouldn't be. When a board member corrected me openly at a meeting, the slow heat rose behind my ribs like a tide. I went home smelling of ink and old bruises. Chapter 2, The Night in the Pines. A week later I escaped the city for the first time in months, a weekend with a writer friend, Lila, at her mother's cabin in the pines. Moonlight fell through the needles like a promise, cold and precise. We drank tea. We argued about endings. At one point Lila told me not to be so serious. I told her I would never apologize for gravity. The road back to town was a narrow ribbon. I drove alone because she had stayed behind to return a journal. Halfway down that ribbon, something struck the side of my car with the dull, wet sound of a body. I stepped into the night and found only broken branches and a dark, staring shape between the trees. It was larger than anything I'd expected, for like a midnight bookshelf, eyes reflecting the canyon of the moon. It did not run. It did not plead. It came closer with a moving that was not hurried but inevitable. I smelled it before I knew what the smell meant, iron and old forest, something that had hunted through winter and hunger. When it lunged, I taught myself to move. The world narrowed to claw and catching and a flash of teeth. A cut pricked my wrist. Blood was hot and bright, and as it seemed with the cold of night a pressure rose behind my eyes. I am careful about what I believe. I do not like the company of superstition. But something entered me in that dark, something patient and composed. I watched the wolf go and felt, absurdly, as if a small part of its strength had been left like a whisper under my skin. Chapter 3, The Thawing. At first it was simple, sleep came deeper, and I woke with a clarity that felt like new glasses. Colors had outlines they never had before. I could hear the clock 2 rooms away as if it were whispering secrets only I deserved to know. My joints, which creaked like a house under snow, no longer complained in the morning. For a week I felt luminous and dangerous in the way a polished knife is dangerous. Then the more intimate changes began. My skin collected a faint, bristled film I would find if I ran my palms over my arms in the shower. Hunger became a geography, certain scents moved in me like old maps. Meat simmering 2 floors down at a neighbor's became an ache. At night, my teeth felt too small for my mouth, my fingers too soft. I would wake with animal dreams, watching, listening, patient, a creature that moved with an economy I recognized in the way a season recognizes itself. I told myself I was ill. I told Lila. She laughed, then watched my face with an attention I had not earned. Maybe you're rebirthing, Mara, she murmured, half drunk on the idea of fiction. She said it like a lamp being turned on, and I felt incandescent and ridiculous and, secretly, grateful. Chapter 4, The Hunger. With clarity came appetite. At the office the undercurrent of danger pulsed into rhythm, backstabbing emails, an urgent memo that rearranged everyone's futures. The younger executives were not merely ambitious, they had teeth honed on the city's necessities. A man named Victor, new to the firm, slick, with a laugh that left a bruise, tried to replace my best editor with a junior who wore her hair like a promise. He clipped my projects. He assigned my authors cold deadlines. He smiled as if that would solve all things. On my way home one night, I smelled Victor before I saw him, the cologne of confidence and the impatience of someone used to predators and not prey. The smell knifed through the cab and lit a wire in me that hummed. I didn't mean to follow him. I meant only to feel the world cool and sharp beneath my feet, but my body had decided on a directness I had never known. I followed him into an alley where the city's lights hung like weak teeth. He laughed at a small, private joke on his phone and did not hear the steps behind him until I stepped into the circle of his light. He turned. His face collapsed into the expression of a man who suddenly understood how thin the margin is between dominion and exposure. "Mara," he said, baffled. "What are you?" He tried to step aside, to smooth the moment as if it could be made less by breath. Fear did something to him his shallow experience had never taught him. It widened his eyes, and for a long second I saw the man he would be reduced to if the city kept him in its fist. I did not kill him because of office politics. I killed him because of the way he had smiled at my obsolescence and because, in that cruelly reduced alley, I wanted him to feel the long, patient thing that had entered me. When it was over, when the sirens came, when my hands were slick and my chest a drum, the animal in me licked its lips and settled. The human watched and catalogued and, terrifyingly, justified. Chapter 5, The Pack and the Price. The city can be forgiving of certain violences if they come with an explanation. Victor's fall was made tidy by rumors of debts and weak deals, a young man with a temper and too much credit. The press swallowed the narrative. The board convened and shuffled power like a deck that needed to be thinner. My name did not surface. I remained a quiet woman with an alibi, a night spent at a charity reading, a credible witness who liked the way I smiled. But the transformation is not simply for necessity. It brought with it a hunger for power that was not career but bone deep, an urge to reshape the people who had slighted me into something useful or gone. I found others like me in the half-forgotten places of the city, a trucker who whispered of his nights on the highway, a woman from the riverbank who taught me to read tracks in the mud. They did not wear suits. We did not meet as villains, but as collaborators, or perhaps as a coalition of need. We formed, for a few weeks, a small pack of people who had been changed and decided to keep what the change gave them. Lila watched me with love and alarm. She said they were hunting in the wrong direction. She said that animal ferocity lives for the moment and leaves ruin behind. I told her I would be careful. I lied. How does one measure the cost of feeling alive again when the cost is the quiet lives of those who sharpen you with cruelty? Chapter 6, The Reckoning. The end came in a small, sharply lit room where the board met to sign papers that would hollow out the imprint I had given my life to. Men with smooth palms and thin grins pushed a pen across glossy paper and expected me to applaud. The animal in me drummed against my sternum and wanted the head of every man in that room on the table like a grotesque hors d'oeuvre. The civilized woman in me remembered contracts and consequences and lawyers with good patience. I stood, feeling my pulse like a second throat, and spoke. It began as a refusal and turned, slowly, into a sermon, words honed and precise, and the sound of them fell into the room like something that could not be taken back. They looked at me, and in their eyes I saw again Victor in the alley, surprise, a little fear, the uncomprehending light of someone who never quite imagines the other fully. I told them truths that had been papered over with charm. I revealed names. The board papery folding closed into small disasters. They left with the discomfort of predators who had been told they were naked. Some left broken in ways I couldn't fix. Some used the law like a scythe and carved out retribution. In the end I lost what the imprint had been, but I kept something stranger, the knowledge that beneath my own blood ran a river I could not entirely dam. The city kept its own. I kept mine. There are nights now when I sit by my window and hear the river and imagine the wolf in the pines. The changes have settled into me like a second rhythm. Sometimes I run, sometimes I read, sometimes I taste the air and know by scent the composition of a neighbor's life. People ask if I'm happy. I tell them the truth that is human and false. I am whole. They do not know the price of that wholeness. This is not the ending of a myth. It is the ledger of a woman who walked into darkness and found herself more honest than she had been. The wolf taught me to be precise, to hunt with an economy of effort, and to love the world in a way that is dangerous and truthful. I have kept my hands, my job, my pride, and a few nights of criminal silence. I am careful. But I am also hungry. If you enjoyed this tale, please subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, give the video a like, leave a comment with your reaction, and share the video with friends who love dark stories.